And not only that, it's like 4.6 billion of them are on the internet, and 4.2 billion, that's 53% of our global population are social media users. And so there's a whole other world, a virtual world, and half of our whole humanity is on this virtual global world, interacting with each other, having conversations, sharing ideas, sharing goods, services, conducting trade, and hey, just really promoting what they have to offer. And that is the importance of social media and why you want to be on it, because your customers are on social media. And I do want to say this, I think social media for me, why I am really excited about it is because it's a game changer. Um, I guess the best way I can frame it is what Thomas L. Friedman said. He actually wrote a great book called The World is Flat. And he was saying that, you know, the advent of social media, of mobile phones, internet technology, basically reduced hierarchy. Now you can be a manager and reach your customer directly. You don't have to have all these barriers or go through all of these hierarchies to reach customers or vendors or to get some goods and products. Now you can, because of social media and technology, now you have direct access to those gatekeepers. And so the world is flat, it's horizontal now. And it's really exciting because, as you know, as a business or as somebody who is interested in promoting organization and services, well, now it's up to you to do that. You don't have to go through someone else to do that, because social media services are largely free, and that's exciting too. So bottom line, the more our world becomes connected through the internet, the more our marketplaces expand, and the more access to consumers businesses have. And this is great opportunity. It's a really great time to be in business. So not all social media platforms are alike. And this is what's really exciting about them. Each social media platform is different. Each provide different social interactions and features, and those features alone attracts a unique group of consumers. So let's look at Facebook. You see here in this slide that mainly women use Facebook. Mainly people between the ages of 30 to 49, that's your millennials and Gen Xers, use Facebook. And believe it or not, mainly African Americans and Hispanics use Facebook. People of color are the largest users of Facebook. Well, check out Facebook. It's also basically bigger than China and India if you take into account the population. So there are actually this statistic is a little old, there's actually 2.7 billion Facebook users in the world. And so Facebook is actually the largest country in the world in terms of users and population. So that's pretty exciting. That means there's a lot of marketplaces there. There's tons of marketplace. People are doing business on Facebook. 1.4 billion, according to this, it's higher though, use Facebook groups, and that's groups that you can create to share your products with your consumers. You can share your company page. You can share, you can create a group around a certain social issue if you want, around a certain service. People love that. That's a great way to directly interact with people through Facebook groups. And let's go on. Here's Instagram, same thing. Women use Instagram. The majority of users on Instagram are women. They're between the ages of 18 to 29. Those are pretty much your Gen Y and your millennials. And they tend to make 75,000 or more a year. These are young people that are going into business. These are people who are graduating college. They're in college. They're probably just straight from high school to work, making money. And wow, what are they doing on Instagram? Well, first of all, again, Instagram is its own nation. Just Americans alone, 112 Americans use Instagram. 112 million Americans use Instagram. However, Instagram itself in terms of the global user base is 1.2 billion people. And that is incredible. Again, it is larger than China, the population of China. It's spectacular. And what people love about Instagram is it's different than Facebook. You're on Facebook, you can share all kinds of content, but Facebook is really about conversations. Instagram is really about photos. It's about short videos. It's really visual. And so a lot of people love it. Shoppers love it. This statistic is just a couple years out of date, but in 2019, 130 million Instagram users tapped on an image and of a product and bought that. So Instagram is great if you have products that are visually stimulating, that are really about the senses. In fact, I will tell you, one of the best places you can go for an example of this is Amazon Home. Their Instagram page is an epitome of what your Instagram page might look like if you are selling products. But again, it's a huge marketplace with a lot of potential because of the people who are on there. There's also Pinterest. Pinterest is, again, majority women, but these are older women, usually in rural areas, because Pinterest is a wonderful platform that allows its users to curate all types of images and content around crafts, around art, around other visually appealing things. And it's very simple to use. Pinterest is a wonderful marketplace in terms of sharing your inventory, sharing what people are probably doing with it. If your customers are taking pictures of your products, hey, you want to say, hey, can I post this to our company's Pinterest? So definitely do that. And I love Pinterest because it is simple to use. So you're definitely going to reach the Gen X to baby boomer market. And they have a lot of money too. And of course, LinkedIn. Now, I think LinkedIn gets a bad rap. I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great platform, especially if you are looking to connect with, businesses, organizations, and professionals. And if you have a business to business model, then you want to be on LinkedIn. If you are a business and you need a vendor, you need contractors, you need professional services, you want to go on LinkedIn because that's where you're going to find the professional people, the vendors who will talk to you about the services they offer. And you can really have those great conversations because LinkedIn is very conversational. Especially if you're providing a service like veterans. If you're providing a service to veterans, LinkedIn is a great place because, well, you can see the demographics. Mainly men are on LinkedIn, and they are between the ages of 30 to 49. Those are the people who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. They are back home, they're making money, they're possibly going towards a grad degree. So it's also a great opportunity if you're hiring, looking for professionals. LinkedIn is a great employment place to find those people. Of course, there's Twitter. People ask me, they're like, I don't get the point of Twitter. What's the point of Twitter? Twitter is really interesting. It's basically, I consider it as a large tree where people, they tweet. They like basically share their ideas with the world, you know? And so for business, it's really interesting. I think Twitter is fabulous if you're a business that's really about services, or if you're a business that's really about ideas. If you are, for instance, a political or a social organization who really wants to tell people, hey, please pay attention to this cause, please pay attention to this piece of legislation, then Twitter, that's where you want to go. Twitter, there's currently 353 million users on Twitter, and most of them are Americans. So there's a lot of people on Twitter, and that's just expanding. And then lastly, YouTube. YouTube, I think, is a very important, probably one of the most important social media platforms. I don't think people consider it a social media platform because it's more about videos. However, people can respond and engage to those videos. And that includes your videos. If you are a business, if you are an organization, you can create wonderful videos. You can have a YouTube channel and people can directly interact with the video content that you post. And you can get people from there. Not only that, YouTube is you can link it to other social media platforms. So that's what's really exciting. In fact, most of these platforms, they do allow you to link your Facebook profile to your Instagram profile, for instance, or your YouTube profile to your Twitter profile. And so that's exciting. You post a video to YouTube and then it will automatically land on Twitter. So that's enticing. That's enticing to people. So not all, like I said, not all platforms are the same. They're very different. And depending on who your customer is basically where you're probably going to want to open a profile on, right? So you got to know your customers. Who are they? Are they primarily women? Are they primarily men? Are they, what is their age demographic? Now we're talking about preparing for summer. So we're assuming that because we're focused on Ocean Shores, the assumption is that, well, we're going to get a lot of people from all over the world, but definitely from Washington State, Oregon, surrounding communities to come and to Ocean Shores and check out the beaches. And so if that's the case, then where are they coming from? You know, if they're coming from Seattle, well, they're probably going to definitely be on Facebook and Instagram, right? If they're probably coming from rural Oregon, they're probably going to be on Pinterest. And so that's the considerations, that those are the kind of questions you want to ask in order to, when you're figuring out what kind of platform should your business be on. And also you got to know your competitors too. Your competitors are important. You got to study them, because what platforms are they on? What kind of content are they sharing? Who are their customers? Your competitors should definitely let you know that, hey, you know, this is a great platform, especially if you're seeing that they have a huge followership, they seem to have successful engagement, you know, people are really responding to their profile, then you might want to consider moving into that space, because it's about competition, right? So knowing who your competitors are is also will help you inform your decision on what platform you should be on. And not only that, the cool thing about social media is your competitors are on it. So if you ever want to do some competitive intelligence and see what your competitors are doing, yeah, hang out on their profiles, see what they're doing, see how they're engaging their customers and how they are not. I think that's a very, very critical aspect too, because if they're not engaging, because their customers are your customers, right? And if they're not engaging their customers in a way that you feel they should be engaging, then that should also inform you in how you should make your tactics more competitive, where you can probably start bringing some of their customers over to your site. And I just want to check the chat really quick. Okay, yeah, we see a question. This is cool. So we'll get to the question soon. So once you choose your platform, it is very important to develop a social media strategy. Now for the summer, you know, that, and I would say like just for our season, obviously the season here started at the end of the end of May, Memorial Day weekend, and it pretty much runs through Labor Day, and that's for Ocean Shores. So you want a summer strategy that has one, maybe two goals, but I'd say one goal, because you want to really focus your efforts. The thing with social media is it's so easy to want to do everything, and then those efforts end up being diluted and kind of fall flat on the customers. So you want one goal, and those can be, it depends on what you're looking for. It could be about lead generation. It could be about increasing followers, increasing awareness that, hey, in Ocean Shores, this is where I am, you know? And that means taking your cell phone and just doing a cool pan shot of like your business, you know, in the street, and you know, something really cool like that, and putting that on the platform. So you can, that could be one of your tactics in under the goal of brand awareness and increasing the awareness of your business. You can also create a campaign or summer campaign around a product or service. Hey, if you're getting some really cool flip-flops in, or you got some cool electric bikes, you know, or maybe you're really wanting to tell people, hey, we have great whale watching, great fishing excursions, then absolutely, that could be one strategy, one goal that you really want to focus on for the summer, and use your efforts into that. And I would say use SMART objectives. And so when you create your goal, you definitely want to determine, okay, is this a goal that's sustainable? How am I going to measure it? How am I going to measure the success? How am I going to analyze that it's working? What is my return on investment? What is the time it's going to take for me to get to reach my goal? So SMART objectives are awesome because it really makes you look at your goal and really break down the goal in key components in terms of what you need to track, what you need to measure, and really what you need to look for, and who will be accountable to reaching that goal as well. So SMART objectives are a great use for social media strategies. And we're going to go on here to creating and engaging. Now, this is my favorite part about social media. It's pretty wild. It's a wild world. There's a lot of creative people out there. And that's the cool thing. You have to be creative. If you want to reach your customers, if you want to make those those relationships and deepen those relationships, it's all about creating compelling content and all about engaging. So let's really start with this, Marketing 101. We all know that when it comes to marketing, you really have to have the messaging. It should be emotive in some way. I think it should always be positive. And so if you're creating content on social media, make it a positive spin. You don't want to say anything negative that's going on about your business, right? If you're telling people that, hey, well, if you have a situation, which I just found out, if you have a situation where you have to close for a day because you need more employees, you don't go on social media and say, I gotta close because there's nobody who wants to work. You don't want to say that. Is that what your business, is that your business's voice? Is that if your business was a person, is that the kind of tone they have when your business speaks? Because business has a voice, right? So have a positive spin. You might want to say this, unfortunately, we'll be closed on Wednesdays because fortunately, we're getting back to hiring. In fact, go on our LinkedIn, go on our Facebook job page and look at what we have to offer for great positions. There you go. Because you want your business to have a great positive message that's welcoming to people. And so that's really important when you're considering what kind of content to develop and how it should sound. Basic marketing, positive spin. Try to use solutions. When you engage with consumers, you might find that some consumers are not really happy with you. It's all about word of mouth. Marketing 101, word of mouth. If they're not happy with you and they go on Yelp or they go on Facebook or Instagram and they're like, I bought this and this was horrible. Well, provide a solution and make it public if you want, say, I'm sorry, this didn't work for you. Why don't you talk to us or I'll reach out to you on Facebook Messenger because I have a solution, right? So always make sure that when you are engaging with your customers, Marketing 101, have a solution. Definitely have a call to action and point people to the right place. And so this is really important. It's so easy to say like, we got this is great. We have like all of these widgets for sale and that's it. Okay, if you have them for sale, like how long is the sale? Where do you find this? Is this on your online or, in your brick and mortar store? So make sure to have a call to action. Yes, widgets for sale, but how to get there, you need to tell people to act on that. So widgets for sale online here. In fact, click this button, shop now, right? So follow through with what your content says, right? It's one thing to just say, oh, we got these cool t-shirts. Go further. It's better to say, we have these cool t-shirts. Look at our customer. She wore this to a wedding, and then have a picture or a video of your customer wearing your t-shirt, and then you could say like, we have these today here, right? Because a lot of these platforms, they allow you to add a button to your posts. that will allow people to talk to you on Messenger or to go to your e-commerce site or just to submit you an email. So that's pretty cool. So don't just post stuff to post, don't just yell, hey, we're here, just because you can, really make it engaging, make it where it's like you're talking to people. Because guess what? This is what you do at your store. This is what you do at your business, your organization. You talk to people. And so all you're doing is doing the same thing, but on social media. You're having conversations, but you're bringing them into the social media space. And so let's talk really quick about a little more deeper about content. On Facebook, like I said, it's really about ideas. It's about solutions. It's about stories. It's about partnerships, deepening relationships, professional relationships. So the kind of content that you want to post there would be related to that. It would not, you wouldn't post about your t-shirt, but you would probably post something around why your business, excuse me, has sustainable t-shirts, why you sell t-shirts that are sustainable, or perhaps why your business does something magical, and you want your professional colleagues and to know that. And here's another cool thing, LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of awesome associations, professional associations. You're going to find those on LinkedIn. So with Facebook, it's the same thing. You're connecting ideas and stories to people. That's where you are going to sell your t-shirt, but you're going to make it a story, right? You're going to really engage with the customer and show them something different about your product that nobody else is doing. And you can do it so many ways. And Facebook really is about the conversation. That's pretty much where it all really begins. And so when you're posting content, you want to post it in a way where people are going to have that conversation that you would have with them in your business. And then Instagram, that's really about tangible products. So if you have just a service that you're providing or you're a community organization, you can use Instagram to reach the younger people. And the way to do that would be with like clever memes or flyers of events or workshops that you're having. But I think Instagram is greatly suited if you have products. If you really are a cool, small Ocean Shores sort of business, you have products that are visually appealing. You have a cool staff member that loves taking pictures. They could take pictures of your awesome products, your consumers, your customers using your products, and put that on Instagram. Instagram is very visual, just like Pinterest. So that's really where you're going to want to have those pictures, whereas, of course, LinkedIn, you're going to want to have more conversations about, okay, this is what I'm doing as a business practice, operationally, or, hey, I'm looking for an accountant, for instance. So again, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, those are really B2C, business to customer. LinkedIn is really business to business. And then engage, right? We're saying engagement, engagement, engagement. You're hearing that a lot from me because it's social media. We got to get social. We got to talk to each other. So respond when people comment on your post or your tweet. Please respond to them. Respond to them in a timely manner. Respond to them as if they are in your store or in your office, in your place of business. Now, personalization versus automation. There are a lot of social media applications out there that will automate your responses for you. And that's pretty cool. If you're a busy person and you want to make sure people are getting timely responses, you can definitely use those applications. I think in my experience that having personalizing responses is more, I think it's more effective when you're trying to develop an organic followership, right? We want the people to follow us to really know us, and we want to know them. We don't want to just go out there, get a social media application that will instantly give us 50,000 followers. Why would we do that? Those 50,000 followers are probably not our customer. You know, we want to know who our customer is, who our stakeholders are. And so I think that having personalized engagement, personalizing that engagement by just setting aside time every day to check your platforms and then respond to people every day, once a day, or you could do twice a day. But really just responding to people, taking a half hour to an hour to respond to people, that's what leads to organic growth. That's what leads to knowing your customer and developing a relationship with them. And then of course, sustaining those relationships. Not only that, I think the biggest thing is it's about trust. So I know in the digital world, a lot of people are like, well, this is digital, you know, there's all these issues with social media regarding privacy and so on and so forth. Well, you know, business is about trust. And I think that the way to relate that trust into the digital space, into social media, onto your platform, is to have those personal conversations. And that's the way that you could really develop an organic followership that knows you and that you know, and that hopefully will stick with you and you them for all time to come. So that's really about creating and engaging. And then lastly, this is, okay, my favorite thing about social media. Okay, so, oh my God, there's just so much. Now I'm like, ah.
I gotta interrupt you. We have less than 15 minutes to where I want to get into the Q&A. You have two really great questions.
Oh, absolutely.
Daryl, about those scheduling platforms and carving out time. You know, you can't, you know, social media isn't like a crock pot where you set it and forget it, right? Like you have to
exactly.
And carving out the time. It's I guess it's more like an air fryer. You got to check on it all the time, shake the basket, make sure things aren't burning. I don't know. This is terrible analogy, but there you go. But I think those are some really great questions. So I know you want to have this slide and one more, and then Kelsey and I also want to have a conversation about some of the resources on our site as well. But just giving you a heads up, questions are queued. We have a great, bigger discussion as a group. So if we can get done with the slides by 10:45, I think that will give us the time.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. Because like I just love this technology so much. So I tend to go a little crazy. So in fact, we'll talk about analytics and then we can go straight to Q&A. Analytics are really important. It's probably my favorite thing because most of the social media platforms allows you to see who looked at your posts, where they came from, what time they looked at your post, if they viewed your post from phone or from their computer, and who they were. And they give you general demographics. They'll say like something like, you know, this post was 40% of the users or that looked at this post were women. They were between these ages. Twitter is amazing. They have some really rich analytics that even gives you an idea of just how much money they might make based on what they told Twitter, because everybody shares data, of course, and their information on social media. So social media platforms, they do relate that data to the business. They do provide analytics. So I think it's really critical that each month you just look at your analytics for your platform, and especially if you're doing a summer strategy, and really look what's working. If it will show you if a post didn't do anything, and that should prompt you to think like, why did people not engage my post? It will tell you if your followership is increasing or decreasing, and so that will be like, oh, my followership increased. Oh, it's because of this post, or because of my campaign, it's really hitting in these areas because I'm seeing that all of the users are coming from this location. So maybe I should really target that location. So analytics are basically free market research. I don't know about you, but it's a lot of money for a small business to hire a market research firm to do those focus groups, you know, and a lot of business managers don't have time to do the secondary research. And so use the social media analytics and look at the data from that, because that is primary market research, and it's unique to your efforts and your business and your customers. So we can move on to Q&A, and this slide is just some resources for you that actually are great strategies and just handbooks on how to use social media marketing. One is from the US Chamber of Commerce. There's the US Small Business Administration. My favorite one is Sprout Social. Sprout Social is a leading social media management company. They offer some great social media management applications. However, they offer great education and free information. And their guide to social media for small business is very in-depth. And it will go over a lot of what I covered and a lot more as well. All right, let's look at the chat here. And so lots of great questions from Daryl. Do you recommend the companies like Hootsuite where you post once and they fit it to all your social media? And that relates to your other question about how small businesses afford to have time dedicated to keeping on top of social media platforms. Okay, absolutely. So Hootsuite is, I was a beta user for Hootsuite, and now it is a paid service. So if you have the money, I think you pay monthly. I have to look at what their new fees are. Hootsuite's wonderful because what it does is if you have a Facebook account, if you have an Instagram account and a Twitter account, you plug all those accounts into Hootsuite, and then all you do is post to Hootsuite, and then the application will automatically send those posts to each of your accounts. So you don't have to like go on Facebook and post something, and then open up Twitter and post something, and then open up LinkedIn and post something, because that does take a lot of time. So Hootsuite does automate that for you, and it does automate responses for you as well. And so that's I think absolutely, if you are a very busy business and you just don't have that kind of time, especially during a busy summer and a weekend, then absolutely, there's other social media applications or management applications besides Hootsuite. So check it out. There's a lot out there. They each offer different features and services. So check out one that's right for your business. Otherwise, I would just recommend that you want to set aside time once a day, probably in the evening, or maybe in the middle of the day, just for 30 minutes if you can, just to look at your social media, post something and see what's going on. And just, make that a part of your business routine. Like we have opening and closing routines. Well, social media can kind of fit into one of those routines. And also, when you're a small business and you have a small staff, sometimes you always want to give them something to do. Ping a couple people on your staff, make one in charge of your Facebook and the other one in charge of Instagram, and then have them do the work. That's a great opportunity for them to do professional development. And
Felicia, are there, I'm queuing you up, are there affordable resources in the harbor for social media management for small businesses?
Well, I think there is, and the first one is the Greater Grays Harbor Inc. Chamber of Commerce, absolutely. And I think definitely check out the resources here in the harbor. There's Grays Harbor Youth Works.
So tell us more about Grays Harbor Youth Works and what you guys are doing with youth in the area.
Oh, absolutely. We have a
social media topic.
Yes. We have a virtual internship in social media marketing. And it's not actually all virtual. We actually have a couple young people who are working with actual companies right now. One student is working with what are they called? They're called Holistic Help and Therapy. And so that's wonderful because it's a community organization and they are designing their entire social media because they don't have any social media. And then another student is looking to go over to Mount Olympus Brewing because the brewers, they're like, we want to brew. We don't want to do social media. And the student can work from home because they can't be in our establishment, So it's really exciting. And we have a few other students who are looking to do social media marketing. So it's an internship. They would be working with you 30 hours over 10 weeks. And they are, at the same time, they would be taking social media classes with me and learning basic marketing, learning guidelines and best practices, learning how to set up social media for a small business. And while they're taking those classes, they can work with you for the 30 hours, 10 weeks, and then do another 30 hours over 10 weeks. And there's no outlays to the business at all. It is totally free. We at Grays Harbor YouthWorks provide the student, the intern, a stipend once they successfully complete their 30 hours and then 60-hour internship. But there's really no outlays. The only thing is for the business host or whoever is mentoring the student must be able to pass a Washington State Patrol background check. And we have a business host application, and we need a job description in terms of what sort of social media duties would you want the intern to do for your company. So
Right.
yes,
Right.
thanks, Lynette.
Yep. So if you can stop sharing, I'm going to go and share.
Okay.
While we're transitioning. Maybe we can talk about Daryl's question, best practices for responding to negative responses. This is tough. I'm a firm believer, if you get negative comments, see if you can respond with fact and just keep it neutral. But you can also hide people's comments, and they're really none the wiser that they've been hidden, except the people that they're friends with would still see it potentially. And then if they're really offensive, or they're just problematic in general, I hide people and then ban them in the middle of the night, maybe when they're not so excited about what they posted. But then there's just that customer service element of engaging with someone if they're not happy. And so you said it earlier, but I would love to hear your strategies or anybody else's about taking it to the private messenger platform to deal with,
Right.
and then addressing that it's been dealt with in the public side. I saw a company, not locally, it was a national company. Somebody had bad customer service, and they activated their whole personal network to go on and write hundreds of negative reviews about the company.
Wow.
Hundreds.
Right.
The company didn't engage with responding for at least a week. So you had to go through hundreds of negative reviews before you can get to the bottom of it, that this person had really put a full press effort on a negative Facebook reviews and things like that. So will I do a share screen really quick? Any thoughts on dealing with negative responses?
I love that example, the case study that you brought up, Lynette. I think number one, timeliness is key. You don't want other people controlling the narrative, especially if it's just one angry customer. And of course, just like Lynette said, social media, it's social. And it's taking word of mouth outside of the public space and into the digital space. And because the technology is so effective, that word of mouth spreads like a virus, right? Things go viral. And so timeliness is number one key to dealing with the negative responses. Definitely, if you can, if it's really negative, taking it to the Facebook Messenger or emailing the customer and publicly telling them, publicly apologizing, being humble, and publicly asking them, hey, I'm going to email you right now. Is that okay? I'm going to send you an email. And then taking it to the private sphere. And then, of course, just like Lynette said, following up with the customer. If they're satisfied, you change the negative into a positive, ask the customer to write a positive review. There you go. So people can see that. They can see it went from a negative situation into a positive.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is a resource that we have at GGHI that's open to the whole community, and it's only made better by you all that engage with it. So this is a public event calendar. Kelsey, you just, I lost you on my track down. Kelsey over here with Greater Grays Harbor is the one that either manually goes out and scours the world for events that are happening in our county, or people submit them on their own. So Kelsey, can you tell me a little bit about what the experience is like for someone submitting an event?
Yeah, so it's really pretty easy. Right where you're hovering over that plus button, right between the printer. Yep, that one right there. So you'll click that and then just follow the prompts, and it'll ask you the event name. A few of them are required, but if you don't put a description and somebody clicks on that event and they don't know, where it's going on, the location, these aren't required, but we really ask you guys to fill it in as complete as possible. If you're somebody coming from Olympia and they stumble upon your event on our event calendar, they don't know where to go, obviously they're not going to your event. So the more robust you can make it, the better for everybody. And then when you get to the bottom, you hit submit. And then on our end, we'll just go in. Sometimes I'll clean it up, maybe add a few more things in case you forgot something. And then it'll show up on our event calendar. So it's pretty easy. Any event can go on there. We put free shred events. We put the 5-star Sand and Sawdust Festival. Just about anything can go on there.
So if a business was doing, let's say, a special launch of a beer, a release of a beer, let's say with the Hokum Brewing, this would be a great way for them to do it. And again, this is open to anybody in the community. It's not exclusive to GGHI members. It's only as good as the information you put in. And you do need to give us about 24 to 48 hours to approve your event. If you put it in on midnight on a Friday, our staff isn't going to go into the system until Monday to post it. So be timely about it. It does, like I said, it populates the calendar. So, and we have good search results. People type in festivals in Grays Harbor. High probability that this calendar will come up very high in your search results. The other tool that we have for members, and I logged in as an Ocean Shores business, is we have this backside of our website called the Member Information Center. And it's open to any member. I think the hardest part is getting yourself registered and getting your password, and staff can help you with that. But any member can post a hot deal. So if every Wednesday night is 2-for-1 prime rib or something, you can post a hot deal that populates every week. You can also post a news release. So back to that beer launch or that beer release, you can post your own press releases and put that out on our website. And one of the hottest topics right now is job postings. You can post your own job postings and it populates. So what happens is you post those just like the calendar events. It goes through the approval process, but then job postings, hot deals, and news releases populate our Facebook page and our website. So if you look at our website over here, up here we have a jobs. So we haven't had people taking advantage of this jobs posting, but you click jobs, and if people, if members had gone in, these would be populated here. Same with hot deals. And then, and of course, events calendar. So it populates all these places, but you as a member need to go in and build that. And historically, GGHI hasn't been pushing these modules as much because we didn't have them integrated with our website. And we started really working on the new website March of 2020. We all know how everything, all the best laid plans got derailed come March of 2020. So please, if you're a member, take advantage of this. You can also update your business profile to make sure it's robust. You can add images and videos and things like that. I think of Amy over with Friends Landing and the things that images of the facility you can post and things like that. So these are some great tools we have. And then I don't know if you guys know that Kelsey also administrates Discover Grays Harbor, which is a robust Facebook page and even more robust Instagram. Would you say one is more robust than the other, Kelsey?
I'd say probably Instagram because it's very visual heavy. As we were discussing what Instagram is, it's all about videos and photos and, you know, quick scrolling, where Facebook tends to be more text heavy. Of course, you do want images, but Instagram's all about the pretty pictures. So, and Discover Grays Harbor is about promoting Grays Harbor, and we have lots of pretty pictures here. So
how do you source information and share good social media that's being created by businesses in the community? How do you go about that, and what makes you more likely to reshare an image from a local business versus maybe not?
honestly, if I love sharing, you know, Aloha Alabama will post and use the hashtag Discover Grays Harbor, so I see it, and they'll post about a new exciting, you know, weekend special they have on their menu. So that's something I'm likely to share because it's a great photo. You know, they give a brief description about what the special is. And so it's just something easy for me to quickly ask permission. Can I share this? And then go ahead and share it. Facebook's a little different because you don't really need that permission to share. So like here, Ocean Crest, I just went and clicked share, gave a little brief description, and there it is on the page. So it's just really a nice, colorful photo is what I'm looking for. And then outdoor photos, I take a lot of those myself, but I'll also search hashtag Grace Harbor on Instagram, hashtag Pacific Northwest, receive permission and share their content. So there's a few different ways, but businesses are always welcome to tag us on both Facebook, Instagram. You can send us a private message with an image and say, hey, you're welcome to share this. I accept any and all, like Buddy Moose right there. They just opened in Hoquiam, and they had a great picture of ice cream. So of course, people love ice cream, so that's perfect content.
Well, and I like what you did here where someone, Gretchen, engaged saying, I missed a harbor, and you were quick to respond, please, hope to see you soon. So there's always that positive socialization as well. All right, I'm gonna stop. Is there anything else, Kelsey, in our assets that businesses can leverage?
I think that really covers it. Even Greater Grace Harbor, if you're a member, we try and keep that a little more member heavy on the Facebook and Twitter. But if you have an event coming up, if you have, anything going on, I'd love to help you get that on our event calendar if you're just not quite sure where to go with it. So we love promoting Grace Harbor in any way possible. So I just encourage you to reach out to us if you have questions.
And you brought up a good point, the difference between Discover Grace Harbor and Greater Grace Harbor Inc. social sites. Discover Grace Harbor is a tourism economic development site. So it's really about connecting tourists with commercial enterprises, membership or not in our organization. We're really trying to make sure to capitalize on connecting that matchmaking those folks. Greater Grace Harbor Inc., we're promoting members and through their achievements and things like that. So ribbon cuttings, anything, achievements, celebrations, things like that. So that is the difference. And I think, Kelsey, we launched Discover Grace Harbor in earnest last spring. A little bit of an awkward time, again, to promote tourism in the middle of a global pandemic. So Kelsey worked hard with imagery, nature shots and things like that, but we're really ramping it up. So the other thing we've done is Kelsey's sourced as many restaurants, hotels, anything in that tourism bucket. She's sourced as many of them as she can on her own and created complimentary listings in our directory. And so those folks are there and they are getting that search feature. The next step is for them to hopefully engage with the organization become a member so they can do some of those other features. But that's a difference between those two platforms so people understand them. All right, any other questions? We're in our final minutes here. I appreciate Daryl jumping in with some questions on things. Any other questions about how to best promote, engage, anything like that? If you do have an event, I talked about it very briefly, planning and getting it posted early is key. And I can't stress that enough, is getting on the calendar and getting that in the cycle, because we do source events all the time and promote them. The other thing is, if you create the event in our calendar, again, community calendar, open to everybody, you create it, it goes on our public calendar. Now you have a link. So if your event, if your kite flying festival doesn't have a website, but you need a place to promote, you are creating an informational page by creating that event. So think about doing that. If you have limited resources or this is all overwhelming, the smallest bite might be scheduling and putting an event on our public calendar, which gives you a tool to promote. So think of it that way. Other questions? So my closing question: how does TikTok and Snapchat fit in this world? In this specific world, not the world, the big world.
TikTok actually is fast becoming one of the most informational video sites. It's rivaling YouTube. People are going to TikTok to learn. And what's interesting is a lot of businesses are figuring that out. So they're doing really cool 1 minute, because you only have 1 minute to post really cool 1-minute tutorials on one little facet of something. One little 1-minute video on how to make a recipe, really simple recipe, really quick. So it's really becoming an informational infotainment, edutainment sort of site. Snapchat, I'm still trying to figure that out because a lot of the content, it only lasts for 24 hours and it disappears. But I know that some companies who are really targeting the young people, Gen Y especially, they love doing it because they can do flash sales. They can go on Snapchat, say, check out this sale. They can have really cool content around different products they're selling. And if they're trying, especially if they need to get rid of inventory quickly, and then bam, they have a 24-hour campaign and it's gone. And so that's how that's being used for the small business. But Snapchat is something to look out for. It still has a lot of opportunity there.
Okay. We have one question from Daryl. How many times a week do you recommend posting each week for the average business? I think every platform has a rule, and that rule gets changed every week. So any guidance on that?
Yes, absolutely. This is huge for Twitter, because Twitter is a platform where it's instantaneous texting, really. You have to tweet all the time. And so the more you tweet on Twitter, the more you're going to get that engagement and followership. Whereas Facebook, actually, it is recommended that you only post 2 to 3 times a week on Facebook. And that's because people do have a limit in terms of a business constantly showing up in their feed. It gets saturated. And so 2 to 3 times a week for a business. And someone just said posting sales or versus non-sales related posts. I would say mix it up. You want to keep the consumer engaged. You want to make sure that your posts are different, diverse. Of course, visual, as we know, the human brain, it understands a visual picture. It understands what it's saying quicker than it does text. So if you can, always add something visual, even if it's a non-sales related post. People love humor. They love memes. That's a good thing to post. Instagram also for Instagram for posting. I would say like once a day to probably 5 times a week, because you want to curate beautiful images that people can just, if they click on your profile, they can scroll through. Plus, it's similar to Twitter, where it's in a feed that's kind of instantaneous. And so your voice, you're still competing with other voices. So Instagram is one where you do want to post a lot more than you would on on Facebook. And reposts. That's a good one. So I noticed in my studies that a lot of users don't like when people repost stuff. It is kind of spam, right? And some users, if you are reposting the same content consistently over a period of time, they can click that spam button, or they can report you as providing spam. So that's why you do want to really have a moderate posting schedule. In fact, I recommend creating a posting schedule. At Grace Harbor YouthWorks, we have a social media posting schedule for each platform. And it's basically a 5-day calendar. Monday, we post things about careers. Tuesday, we post events. Wednesdays, we post an intern picture, right? And then that's just for Facebook. Instagram's probably a little different. So I would definitely recommend you create a posting calendar, because that will help you see if you're getting too spammy, if maybe your posting calendar, you're posting too much. That will help you see visually like, oh, I think what I'm going for might be too much for my consumer. So let me like take this day off, especially if you're busy. It's okay to take a day off from social media.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're a minute over, so I appreciate everyone sticking with us and having this conversation. Felicia, how do you feel about me sending everybody your PowerPoint deck?
I love that. Please do.
And your contact information? Great. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And so this is recorded, and we will look at ways to keep this on the backside of our website in that member information center, still troubleshooting some nuances to that, but it will be a resource. And again, Grace Harbor Youth Works has this resource for you with, you can, do two good things: promote your business and work on workforce development for the youth in the harbor. So everybody wins. All right, you guys, thanks for checking in and joining us. Also, you have Kelsey at GGHI to help you figure some of this stuff out in connecting to our platforms. We have thousands of followers on all of them, or over 1,000 at least on them. So don't underestimate that as a tool to support your efforts as well. All right, have a great Monday, and we will see you someplace soon.